Você tá no grade 1 ou no grade 2?
Grade 1.
Grade 1.
Legal, tá bebendo.
Mas como eu não pediu, eu vou ficar muito quiet.
Very good.
Vamos ver, né?
She's grown up.
Nossa, a Gabriela tá indo pro grade 9 e ela vai pro grade 7. Os dois
Dois, são três. Grade 7.
Vixe. Camila me mandou uma mensagem agora que tá vindo pro Lunch and Learn.
How old are How old are tá entrando gatilho lá.
Eu acho que eu tenho que ir lá buscar vocês.
Se você quiser, eu vou, porque você pode ir começando. Deixa eu vou. A gente vê o que eles querem e eu vou.
Napa is almost going to go to grade 10.
Your Clara is going to grade 7 and Gabriela is going to grade 9. Aquele bebezinho lindo ali, grade 7.
Mamãe, a gente tem um gatinho agora. A gente tem um gatinho bebê.
Parece que não, mas...
Eu tenho um gatinho. Eu quero ver.
Não, não se
O
preocupe.
gatinho bebê? Ah, mas a gente tem um gatinho bebê agora.
Quer que eu vou lá?
No Bubble Beach?
Provavelmente.
Você já jogou Bubble Beach?
Eu? A tia não joga nada.
Uma listinha de histórias boas, né?
A gente tem um gatinho que agora todo início de fase vai deixar a gente usar 3 vagaluminhos antes da gente começar.
Só que eu falei que não vale ver, né? Tentei um sanduíche diferente.
It's my first time being grade 1, but I learned a lot this time. Something that don't be quiet, something that
Mas você tá aprendendo muita coisa? Já tá aprendendo a ler?
I don't find
Já terminou de começo?
Pegamos mais uma mesa?
Não, porque as crianças vão
Ah, é, aí você vai levantar, é verdade.
Bom, eu vou
Não, você vai... Ah, é, né? Nós vamos lá.
Elas sim são eles dois só.
É verdade.
As crianças vão ficar três, quatro. Então tá no casulinho dele. Vai assistir o Middle Wizard, né? Papai?
Eric, eu não me lembro dele estar com a bochecha tão vermelha. Agora, pô, mas ele assim, parece reação alérgica.
Ele tava com o bochecha.
Tava? Eu não lembro.
Pode ser porque ele tava correndo, a gente. Mas eu também achei
Não,
uma
mas
olhei
ela tá
pra
vendo, tem uns bumps. A Ana Clara, ela come normalmente, mas se pegar na pele dela margarina, ela fica toda empolada.
A gente descobriu que o Lucas é assim com leite. Não tem tanto leite. Leite fresco.
Então, ela come margarina normalmente, não faz nada. Mas, por exemplo, sabe, tipo, quando dá aquela mordida e pega aqui assim do lado da bochecha,
Mas deixa eu passar.
Só fez
Às vezes não faz nada quando encosta na pele, então você não percebe, mas dá reação interna do estômago. Mas ela fica como se ela não fica meio lesadinha, meio groga.
Can I get my tablet now?
ela tem isso, já observei. Você não sabe se ela for colocar as coisas dentes, da diarreia, qualquer nada, tudo normal.
Ela
Igual
papai
na
mandou
pele.
ídolos aqui.
Tem cabelo de bebê pra você ir, filha. Deus abençoe. Que bom, então, que é só e é só margarina, mais nada?
Manteiga não, só margarina.
E nenhum outro alimento?
Leite.
Proteína do leite. chantilly, qualquer coisa que leva leite que não vai no forno, ele começa. É assim, o sono dele, meu irmão diz que é um fenômeno, que é minutos para encostar. Só que engraçado, o remédio também faz efeito em minutos. Do mesmo jeito que aparece, rápido. Resolve rápido, funciona normal. Já achava meia hora, depois a pessoa toma um remédio, não sei o que, para reagir. Sei lá, botou o remédio, 5, 6 minutos já resolveu tudo. Parece um monte de picada de marimbondo, que aí vai inchando e vai ficando.
Mas parece qualquer coisa que se Já. Nossa, cara, eu falo higiênico.
O que é isso?
Apesar que eu também, mas a dela é mais forte que a minha.
Impressionante, minha família tem alergia a nada.
Eu não tinha até chegar nisso. Priscila, Camila.
Prazer. Esse é o Lucas.
Camila, os 2 lugares do lado de cá.
Tá bom.
Foram
Nossa, tem que cortar.
Ele vai começar a se pendurar.
Ele já faz isso, por isso que eu tenho que cortar.
Porque ficava de cabelo preto e coque. Ele era pequeno o tempo todo. Aí ele começava a puxar o quê? Cordão, brinco.
Mamãe,
Como foi hoje a palestra?
mamãe, eu tô com uma varinha.
Não sei, eu sou suspeita, porque fui eu que falei.
Então, muito boa.
É,
Eu
tem
tava
sido boa.
brincando.
Renata falando bem. É verdade.
Eu só sou um bom papagaio, porque as palavras não são boas.
Mas é importante saber se expressar, né? Porque às vezes a pessoa sabe o conteúdo, mas...
E mais do que isso, pior que eu fico olhando assim, às vezes é a mesma organização. Mas assim, vocês mudam algumas coisas, não? Porque o jeito de apresentar é bem diferente de cada um, né?
Sim, cada um tem seu estilo.
É muito pessoal, né?
Vai.
Você pode ver, eu tô sempre falando, eu sou velha, eu palestra, uma coisa que me toca. Então, para eu falar com palavras cheias, tem que ser uma coisa que toca o meu coração.
Mas o gole do suco pode ir lá brincar.
Eu tenho que atirar
Você tá desse lado, que as crianças querem.
Fica tranquilo. Quando o Tim chegar, eu te organizo aí, sei.
Mamãe, eu tô numa fase aqui que tem tempo. Quer dizer,
Sabor, sabor.
Nossa, acabei de ver um negócio.
mamãe, lembra daquela fase de cebola?
Eu já experimentou esse pudim?
Já.
Todo lunch and learn.
Nossa, olha, nem tinha lembrado, hein? Não foi por causa desse que a gente veio.
Mas já que tá aqui,
Mas
né?
também. Nós viemos no sábado passado, foi muito legal.
Mamãe, lembra daquele
Acabou, termina de beber o suco.
Eu tava passando calor em Saskatchewan.
Nossa,
Eu não gosto disso.
Imagina.
eu consigo fazer?
Quantos...
A Cíntia comentou que você quase perdeu o nariz.
Saskatchewan tava tão bom que entre as 10 cidades mais frias do mundo, 4 estavam em Saskatchewan semana passada.
De um outro lugar mais frio do mundo. Você pegou?
Fala sério.
Em Saskatchewan, especificamente, eu peguei uma chegada menos 33 a noite que eu tava trabalhando, com sensação menos 47.
Nossa Senhora.
Meu recorde aqui é a sensação menos 43, sensação de menos 55.
Você pegou menos 43.
Qual a diferença técnica? Você estava dentro de casa, eu estava tocando literalmente trem, estava andando 50 vagões no meio do frio, com a neve colando até o
Na
joelho.
verdade, eu não estava dentro de casa, não. Mas...
Então desculpa.
Eu estava grávida do Gabriel e assim, foi um dia. Eu cheguei aqui em 2002, isso foi em 2004. E eu cheguei no trabalho, assim, revoltada da vida. Eu olhei pra minha chefe, estava grávida, o Del maridou. Aí eu olhei pra minha chefe e falei assim, que temperatura que precisa estar para cancelar trabalho? Porque dói sair de casa assim. E aí ela falou, temperatura nenhuma, só se nevar, só se nevar tanto, o trânsito não conseguia.
É mais neve, né?
Se não, temperatura não. Nossa, eu tava revoltada. E eu morava em São Vicente. E assim, eu morava.
Depois você
tem estacionamento em São Vicente, tem estacionamento, então você sobe assim.
Vai no banheiro, depois você brinca com
E assim, eu morava do meu drive e dava pra ver a estação. Então, assim, eu só precisava subir o povo ali já estava em casa. Mas tinha, a neve estava mais ou menos assim,
Eu saí
né?
lá,
E menos 55, nossa, eu achei que eu ia morrer no meio do caminho e ia conseguir dar um quarteirão para chegar em casa. Foi doído. Eu cheguei em casa, sabe assim, toda doída. E você sabe que nesse dia eu descobri que eu tava com uma hérnia umbilical, porque a hora que eu entrei em casa eu comecei a tossir, eu tossia tanto, e aí, conforme eu tossia, tava o barrigão de grávida, e aí levantou uma bolota, assim, eu falei, que diabo é isso?
Ela tá online, tá?
Tá aberto. Mas eu tinha tirado 2 anos.
Eu tirei.
deixa eu ir fazer cirurgia. Sexta-feira agora, foi o dia que eu senti mais frio na minha vida. Eu achei que eu ia perder meus dedos. Porque eu passei no mercado tudo carregando. Tipo assim, é um quarteirão do mercado. Assim, tô voltando de uma só que só ficou mais frio. Não gostei da sensação, tava menos 17, uma sensação térmica de menos 32 agora. Mas foi andando meio caminho, eu falei, gente, eu não tô totalmente. Ai, meu Deus, que eu não tô. Aí eu olho e faço. Gente, eu nem precisava comprar nada. Eu cheguei em casa, me tirei assim, meu Deus do céu. Eu assim, você fica com uma sensação.
Parece que vai cair.
Eu nunca tinha sentido isso. Eu tinha sentido frio na mão, eu tinha sentido assim, tava congelada, tava difícil mexer. Já nossa, primeira vez que, se Deus quiser, o último agora quando eu comprei, tudo na bolsa mais quente, se eu precisar, não vou mais sair. Agora eu vou mais. Não quero saber nada não, graças a Deus meu filho tá aqui. Ficar assim.
Eu não tenho tanta feliz. Não sei do que vocês estão falando. Mas pior é que acho que não tem mesmo. Acho que por não ter nascido aqui. A minha mãe é
Qual a idade dele?
7 meses.
Muito rápido.
Esses filhos também? Eles sofrem muito. Eles andam muito minutos. 8 minutos. É bastante. Que bom que a pessoa, o corpo é diferente. Ele vai ser aquele sapato de bermuda, já é. bom que eles não são
Now from WhatsApp and now.
Yes. Behave well. Take care of the baby.
ele já faz tudo.
I was taking care of
The battery just have
Mas
to.
quando eu cheguei, tava 8 graus positivo quando eu cheguei. Eu não consegui tomar telefone sem touca, eu me orelha tipo, touca, um jogando, botada. Agora faz menos 10, é isso, pode botar um casaco. Vai, eu acho que nossa, eles são muito diferentes. Pode até sentir algo frio, mas não sente tanto quando a gente. Eu tô com essa aqui, eu não vou te pegar a cabeça e não consigo. Você
Você quer que eu sente? Você quer sentar na ladeira?
não, tá ótimo.
O familiar para você, gente.
Tá tudo ótimo. Você tem a parte de eu toco. Não, tá tudo ótimo.
Ele já está sentando no leite. Isso é muito mesmo.
É curioso.
Incomoda muito o capacete.
Não, até ajuda, né?
É.
Porque fica mais quente, sabe? Então, com sorte que teve que usar no inverno. É muita tranquilidade, né?
Bem-vindo. Perdão pela.
Imagina.
Agora eu falo mais
Com vocês. A Carol explicou, eu expliquei.
Ela falou que era
Você já quis ficar no perto e eu sento aí.
Eu vim perto todo dia.
Tá bom. Olha, tem tempo.
Eu faço umas férias lá.
Eu tô de férias.
É espiritualidade.
É espantável.
É difícil sair de casa. Tem que fazer assim.
A gente tem que se esforçar para isso, porque senão também não sabe. Se eu forçar e porque está comigo, a gente tem que ter resultado.
E a criança nem sente. Criança.
Principalmente é que não reclama, né?
Não sente, eu acho. Eu vi pelo escolar, tipo, eu nem com isso, e a criança pulando na rua.
Cada vez.
Eu estava congelando a Luiz de bota, casado, toda
Você vê criança de manga curta.
Bom, a gente vai fazer uma oração inicial. Vamos agradecer ao nosso Pai, pela oportunidade de juntos estarmos, nos encontrando para refletir neste importante é a relação de pais e filhos. Isso é importante lembrar que é um desafio grande para todos nós que somos pais. Nesse momento de hoje, nós juntos possamos encontrar palavras e resoluções que assim melhor compreender, melhor nos conectarmos, mais tradição também é parte da queremos abençoar os nossos anjos guardiões, abençoar os mentores espirituais da casa, pelo nosso Mestre Jesus, nossa ponte eterna, através das suas exemplificações. Que assim seja. Você prefere em inglês?
I don't care.
Well, eu tenho a primeira parte, inclusive a reunião passada, toda traduzida, mas eu não preparei a de hoje, porque eu achei que na verdade ia ser só eu. Mas a gente vai passar pelo refresh, porque também era só eu e a Renata que estava na primeira reunião. Então eu vou passar em inglês, depois você me fala se se sente confortável. So our study is the family relationship wellness, specifically parents and children relationship wellness. So the parents have a role, what we call collaborative role in the education, formation of the character of our brothers and sisters in men. Specifically, the father and mother are God's collaborators on the children formation. And feel free to keep eating.
Okay, we'll try to pay attention.
We'll leave it out. So this collaboration is co-workers, co-creators in this aspect of the fatherhood and the motherhood. So what would be collaborating with God in the formation of the characters of our children? What do you think is this collaboration that we're talking about here?
I'm instilling values and virtues that you want to see in our kids, right? Until they develop into proper human beings.
With moral,
Yeah.
with morality and following Jesus' guidances, right? Exactly that. So we are here to co-work with God, with His divine laws that are already in their minds, right? We have to. Noise, too much sound, too much noise. Okay. And this is an important thing because in the aspect of the family, we have the mother and the father as these co-creators, co-collaborators, or co-workers. And what is co-creator? Do we create anything?
We help them to develop, to create some things. For instance, when Lucas was a small child, he used to take the dog and throw him away when he was mad at the dog. You know, it's not that because he was mean, because he didn't understand that it really hurts the dog because my dog is this big.
Yeah.
So I talked to him, and helping him to understand that if someone bigger, like a hook, took him up and throw away, would be the same thing. So he didn't have already this knowledge. He was creating it. Right? It's not like I create, but we creating together the new understanding of the life.
Yeah, that's more connected to the aspect of working, right? Your working is morality, or trying to work him to be a.
Eu acho que não batente. Acho que ela estava olhando para baixo.
Chega de tablet. Vai lavar.
Agora tá doendo mais.
O que aconteceu? Fala pro papai. O que aconteceu? Você bateu ou alguém bateu? David? Só bateu? Só que Ó.
Eu acho que ela estava abrindo olhando pro tablet e bateu na
Ó,
porta.
se você ficar andando com o tablet, eu vou tirar ele de você, porque eu já falei para você não fazer isso. Eu vou aprender que não é para ficar andando com o tablet e dando cacau na parede. So, this is the aspect of co-working with God, showing the his morality. But the co-creation is really the concept of giving the birth, because it depends on us to have sex, to copulate, and then specifically the mom to carry the baby for 9 months. And so there is a part of creation, but this part of creation most of the time is misunderstood, and people think their kids are their own kids, and they don't see the part of God related to it. So are these kids ours?
No.
No, they're not ours, but we help them to be here in this incarnation or not.
And prepare them to like their mission.
Exactly.
They're not our property to do
No.
as we wish.
Borrow.
Yeah.
So this means we are all sons and daughters of God, brothers in humanity, transitionally children of Father and the Mom. So this is as a mortal spirit. This is just a period of time, right? That the kids will be under our guidance, and this is important because the perception of the meaning of this role causes the parents to free themselves from the feeling of omnipotence towards their children. They are not responsible for their children's choice, but for collaborating with God in the formation of the children. This creates a lightness and a softness in this mission, unlike the weight of omnipotence. So this is very important. They're collaborators, and we have to see ourselves. Otherwise, for example, a teenager who makes terrible choice, for example, drinking and driving, and end up, for example, killing someone. Because, yeah, legally, the parents will answer for this. But what we have to bear in mind is we are not responsible for their choices. Even more for a teenager, even more for an adult. It's interesting. We'll talk a little further on this, but many parents, adults, still treat them like kids.
Mm-hmm.
And this is horrible. This is horrible because it's a lack of science, lack of knowledge of exactly how far can I guide it to? For sure, you here is under totally your word. You can't even give a step right now without your help. But imagine a child of 10 years old, and we still treat as a baby like you. And I know that at some point it's a tough thing to pass all these phases or the change of the phases that we live in the parents child teaching or orienting or collaborating, but you have to be very clear there are differences, and they grow up as we grew up. And most of the time when we complain to our parents that they were treating us as children, probably it's true. But are we going through the same step? Are we doing the same mistakes? This is the important thing to reflect, right? So in this point, we have a so-called thing called directive role. So it is important to the parents to direct their children in the practice of the good, the worthy, the beauty, and strengthening love for oneself, one's neighbor, and God. This is very important because the directive role for sure won't work with a 20 years old kid. But what about you, David, uh, Lucas? What we call this directive role is highly important in the moment that the kids are between the birth. Actually, even in the mom's womb, it's still important. Till 7 years old. Yeah. So the directive role is the main point in the first child era or time. Then there is a second one that we call from the 7 years old to 12 years old. And this one is a mix of this directive role with your orientative role. The directive role is still very strong during this time, mainly because a 7, 8, 9 years old child doesn't have the idea what to do or how to do things. But there is an orientation, maybe for something, for example, how many times I told Sophie already that she wasn't supposed to walk and play with the tablet. And then what happens? She faces the door, comes here crying, and blames the door. Right? Right, you? Not supposed to do it. And but can I always stop her to do it? No, I will have to orient her. Don't do it again because this. She will have to start feeling the consequence of making that choice. And it is very, very connected to the process of parents helping the discernment of the kids. What is good or not for you, right? So we have the knowledge, but we don't know how to use it, or they don't know how to use it well. Yeah, so the parents have this orientation process. And it is important because this goes straight to the character of the child. So we observe what's going on. We strengthen the positive points, for example. So loves to pray. So pray. For example, we did the child education, Spiritist education a little earlier. And both in the initial prayer and final prayer, I always ask, does any kid or would like to help? And she always raised her hand, and she always want to participate, she want to pray. Okay, I won't say, no, you do not. If you're the only one who raised the hand, do it. And then, for example, in the end, the last prayer, the final prayer, we were doing the prayer in Portuguese because of Lucas. And she was having a hard time to find the words. So, okay, now you follow me. We won't be here for 15 minutes making the final prayer. So that's the orientation and also the direction, right?
Can I just give another example that he gives that I found is great? It's like when they start to have a few options, right? So the directive is
no options. You just do this.
yes, yeah, and for example, for example, taking a shower. The directive part is you have to take a shower.
Yeah.
The orientative you can pick before dinner, after dinner. So you start having a few options, but still with the directive. So we start
Gradual
preparing,
autonomy.
yeah, like Eric said, the discernment. We start preparing them to make more important and future choices in the future, and hopefully good ones.
Because I think the directive sometimes for some subjects taking too young to really understand why they cannot do something. So like if you have the dog and like the baby's like hurting the dog, maybe he's too young to understand that you cannot do.
Yeah, are we gonna have a half an hour conversation with a 2-year-old?
Yes. So it's just to say no, don't do that. So it's like it's like directive. And after when they are a little older, they are able to follow your explanation. And if they are, you cannot hurt. Would you like me to do that?
In psychology, they call it the capacity of abstraction.
Yes.
And to get the knowledge, and this is why discernment is important. Because they don't understand yet how to get the knowledge, the pure knowledge, and make it to real life, to pass. So that's why you have to put a lot of examples or samples of how to do. And this is very important because at the same time, this involves correcting negative ones.
Right.
And correcting negative ones is a really important role in their orientation. Because just giving the guidance in the directive you want, teach them how to be, why is not supposed to do that. And yes, David doesn't know that he wasn't supposed to pull the emergency lever there.
I heard about that.
And then he pulls. And then he regrets because there was a lot of noise, people, right, the firefighters coming, and all the mess that was created. But he doesn't understand. Doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter if I spank him, doesn't matter if I put him grounded for hours. It won't.
It was big, red, it was calling for him, he went.
But does it work for Sophie? Yes, start working with Sophie. Sophie, you're not supposed to do this. You're grounded. I did it with the tablet a little earlier today because I told her to do something and she didn't do because she wasn't tablet. Then when I came back, she was still tablet. Okay, 5 minutes without tablet. You know what she did? She kept playing. Okay, 15 minutes then. She then later came here and probably saw, Daddy, can I play with tablet now? Is it the best way? I'm not saying that I do the best way, but I try to work exactly this. I gave you the guidance, the direction, you should follow. Now you're smart enough for your age to understand that you made a negative choice, a bad choice. and now you
As
suffer
consequences.
the consequences, right? But it's still this mix, I would say, for the kids between 6 to 12 years old,
That transition.
it's always the directive way. The direction is always more than their orientation. It's always more, right? Because you don't want the kid to get hurt or do something wrong. So first you give the guidance and then you start working the orientation. And the third one, or the fourth one, third one.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's the fourth one because there is the collaborative,
Oh,
the
yeah.
direction, the
Yeah.
the direction,
Direction,
orientation, and
suggestion.
suggestion. The suggestion goes even further. Now, look, Sophie, for example, you can make this choice, and this can happen that you're gonna hurt yourself because you're walking with family, and you're gonna break your nose, end up breaking your nose doing this, or you stop walking with the tablet in your hands. But Sophie doesn't understand fully indeed the suggestion role, because the suggestion role, we are just telling the consequence that could happen, a choice, but you don't interfere anymore. You let them do, and if they go wrong, it's not my choice to come and say, you see, I told you, and brag, but at some point, I'm gonna say, I advise you,
Não, just
to do this way. You chose, now you own the consequence.
And how old do you start doing this suggestion?
So we will get there. But this one, what do you think the suggestive role?
Teenager.
It goes on the teenager and adult. Why? Because the teenager has already a lot of capacity to abstract things and understand the consequences, right? So even she is capable to understand that she can get hurt, she doesn't have fully capacity to apply discernment that, okay, this will happen this way or that way. Here is one important point. We're talking about ages here, right? 0 to 7, 7 to 12, 12 and beyond. But we have to remember each children is a child. And they have their own process of growing up. They are immortal spirits. And we all know that most of this generation that's coming out, they are at least intellectually more evolved than our generation, and the generation. There are the kids way more evolved than us, but those are specific kids. The generation in average, if I could draw something, yeah. So if I could draw, for example, there is intellectual evolvement and number of people here. If we say our generation was evolved like this, most likely the new generation is a little bit more evolved than ours. So most of the people within here are more evolved than our generation. And this is important for us because these phases, these eras that we're talking about, they change. So, for example, We can have a child of 5 years old that's able enough to abstract and have a vision of life better than another one, or we did. And this is important as well because we don't need to imprison ourselves in the date, but know that there will be a growth going on. There will be a change in the behaviors, and we have to adapt ourselves. And this is where most of the parents lack of ability, the teenager phase, because they keep treating the kids with a lot of directive and or orientative, increasing their free will, not letting them with this suggestive role how to use better their discernment, their ability of knowledge, and the result is very bad. That's why parents fight with teenagers, adolescents, all the time, because they don't understand that they are not 7, 8, or the 2 years old kids. Okay, I need to stop something because I'm seeing a bad trend here. I don't want you running. I don't want you running because the last time this happened.
That's why you were smiling.
I know what I'm doing.
You have no idea what I'm doing here.
So, with all that, as we mentioned, the roles will vary according to the phase. The first childhood, the second childhood, pre-adolescence, adulthood. The collaborative role exists in all these phases. So we are always collaborating, parents, father and mother, collaborating. Meu Deus do céu, Sophie. Por que você vem pra cá? Você traz todo mundo junto com você. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. Eu tenho uma salinha lá. O que você quer?
Try to pull ali. Eu try to pull.
Não, agora o papai não vai ficar pulando, não. Depois o papai pula para você. Agora o papai não. And here exactly comes what we were talking before. Most of the time, the first childhood is, or not most of the time, it will be highly directed. So from the birth to the 7 years old, more or less, you have to guide them and direct them. You go this and do this. That's it. I can't explain, there's no problem to explain them why to do it. It's not an offer to do if you want. If you don't do it, you're gonna get in trouble somehow, right? You're gonna suffer consequences very. Or just saying that, so
Oh my God.
Deve estar cansado, só.
É duro ser menor, né, David? Pensa que é fácil.
And then, in this second childhood comes the directive orientative way, which the direction is more important than the direction, the orientation, but it's important for the parents to understand that it's no longer just do this, do that. And most of the times when the children start asking why are you telling me to do this? So the orientation should clarify, etc. And the adolescence is the orientative interactive. So it inverts. And this is why I say it's so hard for us to understand when this transition starts. Because, yeah, we usually will try to keep doing the direction and orientation.
It's easier, right? It's easier to just tell them what to do and expect them to do as you say. Yeah, and expect them to do as you say, because the orientation takes quite a bit of time. That's the conversation we were having, right, Priscilla? The orientation takes a lot of time and attention. So sometimes it's easier just to go for the directive, do as I say, and be quiet, and that's it. Like we heard from our parents so many times.
People were raised by default to the absence of other orientation or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what Eric said. It's, like having this knowledge definitely helps us, kind of stop ourselves when we are going like really strong or more directive, and remind ourselves, hey, am I preparing my child for the future, or am I just trying not to have so much work? Because if I tell them to do as I say, that actually saves me the time of orientation, of sitting down, of explaining consequences of all that. So we need to remind ourselves and reflect at what point do I step in with the directive because the orientation is not working anymore.
It's funny because for me it's almost the opposite. It's serving to remember me that it's important to give a directive to him in his age, because I'm always giving him choice. And when he wants to do something wrong, I say, it's wrong, we'll be bad for you, but I let him do. So he will learn, but maybe it's too early for him to be allowed to do the wrong thing. 2, 3, 4 times until he learn. Maybe now it's
not
time
take
to
away
be more.
the options, but more with the options.
It is in the transition time, because as I mentioned, you have to notice what you can or not do. But the orientative role or directive role is still the main role of the parenting during this time. And this is a very important thing, because as soon as we keep changing it, or we are stuck with just the directive, we are creating a problem to ourselves in the later education. But not just that. This is what we have to be more focused and clear. But we are probably creating a big issue related to the mission of the parenting, the mother and the father. Because it is a mission, and it is very clear in the Spirit's work. But it's not a mission as evolved spirits, as Christ came with the mission to testify, Chico Xavier came with a mission to write 400 and some books, and this is not the same type of mission. Our mission with them is to give the moral orientation for the later, or not only orientation, but the moral formation for later. They can use this incarnation as an important tool for that spirit now. But not just looking out as our kids, but that the spirit has the opportunity to reach the goals that they came up. And this is an issue, because look at our society. Look how many troubled people we have in our society, and I'm talking about adults now, troubled adults, because of the bad parenting they have. You probably know people, we usually see these crazy people that go in the United States mainly with these guns in schools and kill people around, you're gonna go and see there is, most of the time there was issues in the character formation, the moral formation of that child. And how do we change? How do we change our thinking? How do we change this? How do we go further and make sure that I will do my best? I will do my best. Yes, it is an immortal spirit coming there, and it could be a pretty bad one. Could be. As there are crystal children or evolved, there are also very intellectually evolved spirits, but morally not at all. And this is the issue, because if I did all the work I could during the first childhood, the second, the adolescence, as this son or daughter becomes an adult and answers legally also for all its actions, the important thing is I will be with full of compassion if he or her do mistakes. I won't just throw out, now is your problem. It's not this. But I will have a little thing called peace of mind that wasn't, I didn't teach you, I didn't guide you to be a robber, a killer, or a terrorist, or who knows. There is a very interesting case going on in the United States, I don't know if you heard about it, of parents of a little girl. I think they are in Texas. And the girl, and she was 16 years old, she fled from the United States and she joined ISIS. And it was crazy because the parents couldn't do anything, right? And rescue the middle of the worst terrorist organization that is on earth. But then now she claims that she was mistaken, and she has a daughter or a boy, I don't remember now, and she want to go back to the United States, and the United States is denying her to come back to the US, even though she is a citizen. And the parents are desperate trying to help her to come back. But what comes all about this, why I'm using this example, because a reporter was interviewing her in Syria, asking her why you did this, what happened. And she made it very clear. Her relationship with her parents was horrible. Was horrible. Her father was very aggressive. Her mom, I don't know how Muslim education ended up to girls. So they were pushing her to marry with someone that she didn't want and all this. So she was rebel. Most of the time, and that's why she.
The thing that would hurt the most, she did what would hurt the most. She did the worst she possibly could.
I don't know if it was the worst or not, but it was a very bad choice she made, and she didn't think about the consequence. And then we see a bad relationship between parents and child that end up happening that this kid becomes part of one of the worst organizations in the world. Now, am I saying that the parents have the blame on this? Partially, yes, because the relationship that she described that they had wasn't supposed to be this type of relationship. But let's say the parents did all the best they could. All the best they could. They taught her morally, she was engaged to understand how important it is to do good things to other people, how bad people are in this kind of organizations, etc. But she was 16 years old, so she wasn't able to understand that the terrorist organization, they do terror. They're not trying to save the world, they are killing people, dictating people, and yes, in all sense we're supposed to be to understand this. We're not supposed to not talk about this with them. We are supposed to talk about this. All types of subjects, sex, drugs, terrorism, bullying. We are supposed to do this. What we do, we don't. We don't orientate them. We keep directing them. You do this because the issue is there. The issue is there. But if the parents did all this and still the book could still happen, what is the difference between the parent of the girl that they didn't orientate or didn't guide her through the righteous path and the ones that did all they could? What is the difference? The parents who did all they could, yes, they're still sad, but they know that they did all their effort to do it. And this is important because connects to the passage that we started. We're not supposed to feel guilt for their options. As soon as I did all that I could, all my effort to put them in the righteous path. So this is a course that we will in the next few months, and we will be talking about this subject throughout the year of 2019. We will be going now in deep of this process of relationship. How can we be certain, based in Spiritism and the gospel of Jesus, that we are doing the directive guidance correctly? If we are doing the orientative guidance correctly, that we are switching these phases in a smooth way, even recognizing, Renata has this example, recognizing something that went wrong in our own creation, without punishing our parents for the bad mistakes that we made or we are still making, but understanding that maybe they didn't have this discernment that we are able to have. In other words, it's a great invitation to bring the kids to Jesus without second intentions, without interests, hidden interests, but fully connected to what Jesus invites us. To be humble and pure in heart as the kids are. Because they don't have the discernment yet to choose the bad. They just choose because they don't. But at the same time that they grow up and they are able to start making the bad choices by their own, knowing that's a bad choice. Yeah, if I did all that I could to show that this is a bad choice, this won't bring you any money or any status or anything that you want or happiness, but will bring you pain and suffering because the consequences are really bad. Most likely in the end, they will absorb the truth and will follow the truth. So this is the invitation. As I said, I would continue from now as in Portuguese, but we have just 20 minutes more, and I don't know if I should do this, I can. I think it's better that we have a little more conversation and clarify a little bit. But going forward, we will pursue this family wellness relationship and mainly focused on the children and parents' relationship. As you remember, last year we were talking about the couple relationship. We were talking about the children relationship. Then we will talk about the whole family relationship, not just, that includes the couple, the kids, but also the broader family, our parents, our brothers, sisters, uncles, nieces, and so on, and grandparents. So, we still have some minutes. I would love to hear you now to talk a little bit about what we introduced here. How can we take advantage of this in our daily ritual? We're living in the first childhood, you as well. But how can we, from now on, understand really what is this directive orientation?
I think for us or for me, we are still like in the easy, easy part. Like yes,
Everyone says.
yes, everybody says like, oh, baby is easy, hard is to educate because. So I think you three have more experience to share because I think it must be challenging. Like sometimes even like the parents can think a little different between things, like small things.
That's probably a big challenge.
Yeah.
With this, because you kind of have to have a certain consistency, right?
Yeah, and not only that, like Eric said, it starts from the womb. Like the feelings that we have, we share with them, both mother and father. The mother, of course, a lot more intensely because we are pretty much sharing the body for 9 months, but the father as well, and they do have a special connection with the parents. So like the environment in the house from his age is gonna be from the womb makes a big difference. I understand what you're saying, but again, it's just different phases that we need to adapt to, but it's not as easy as people say it is, because even though most people think it's just like the physical work, the changing diapers, the carrying half of the house behind you every time you leave the house, and all that kind of stuff, it's not, because we are setting the stage. It's first childhood is the time when they are most flexible, most malleable to our influences. So the environment that we set for them at home, the gospel at home, the way, like Eric said, we started with the couple. So the way the couple lives as a couple, the way they treat each other, all this is going to influence him even at this age.
No, they are like a sponge. Like he's always observing. And this is one thing that I always tell him, that some conversations, I think, even now, we should not have it in front of him. Because he knows how we talk to each other. Yeah. So you cannot underestimate their capability to absorb it.
They have to be talking, but if you're feeling bad against each other, the children can perceive it. They feel it. So.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know, I think there are phases, but like after, like when they start going to school and you have like more people participating in their education, it's like sometimes, I don't know,
it's a different challenge.
Yeah,
it's
like so maybe a teacher can give already direction that we don't agree with the direction. But I don't know. I imagine
it's interesting because what we are also bringing here, all to change some paradigms that we have in the creation or education of the children. But there are many people who say education is till 7 years old. After that, if you didn't do it right, you can't fix it. That's not true. That's not true. Although, yes, it is a very important phase for the first education, mainly for one thing called authenticity. If it's a no, it's a no. If it's a yes, it's a yes. Because the more we keep switching between yes and no's, the result is very bad because, well,
We get confused.
Yeah, if mom says no, I was dead. Yeah.
and later they will use it against us, mainly when they are teenagers. Because you say to me to do something and you do something completely the opposite. And then how do you argue with them? There's no argument. Because
Do as I say, not as I do is kind of a hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
They are paying more attention to what we do than to what we say.
so the authenticity is more important. It's a real practice, is this exercise of authenticity for the parents than really for the kids. But then later comes the introduction of discernment to the kids. Look, if you do this choice, there is these results. Are you ready to do this? Yes. And then you say, no, you're not. Because if you cross the road without looking both sides and seeing if there is no car, guess what? The car will hit you. So, yes, we educate them, create discernment. You shouldn't cross the road without looking both sides. And then if we see, even though they're still doing it, comes very strongly in the direction, stop, you're not doing this. But it is a challenge.
I'll give an example with teenagers that happened this week, actually. On Wednesday, we had a board meeting, and I was supposed to be here in person, but I couldn't find someone to look after my kids, and I couldn't leave them alone because Ana Clara has anxiety to be alone at home at night, and because both of them had homework. So I got home, and the meeting was at 7, so I cooked dinner very quickly, and both of them sat down at the table. They were doing their homework. And I thought I had more homework than Gabriel, and she actually needed to interview me for her homework. So Gabriel did his homework super fast, and then he got a message from a friend asking him if he could join them to ice skate at the lake in our neighborhood. And then I said, Gabriel, it's very cold. I have a meeting in half an hour. That meeting is gonna last 2 hours. I will not drive you to the lake, and most of all, I will not pick you up. He's like, no, I'm gonna walk. It's almost 2 kilometers. He's like, no, I did my homework, I'm gonna walk. I said, Gabriel, it's way too cold. He's like, no, I'm gonna walk. I'm fine, I have a jacket. He got his skates. He was ready to go. And then, sucker as I am, I felt sorry, and I said, I am gonna drive you there, but I will be taking notes in the middle of the meeting. I cannot pick you up. Do you understand? And I was still doing her homework, interviewing me. He's like, yeah, I get it, no problem. Drove Gabriel to the lake, came back, we started the meeting. In the middle of the meeting, I am taking notes. Gabriel sends a message. Hey, Mom, can you pick me up? Nope. But Mom, it's so cold. I know it is. I told you it was cold.
Yeah.
But Mom, it's freezing. You're gonna let your son walk 2 kilometers in the cold? Yes, Gabriel, I am. Because I told you I did not want you to go because it's dark, because it's cold.
I had a meeting.
Mom, can you please pick me up? No. You can sit down and wait until my meeting is over. Then I will go and pick you up. complete silence, no more messages. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, never mind. My friend's mom's gonna give me a ride. I'm like, oh, lucky you, or you would have waited until 9 o'clock. Next day, we sat down to have a conversation. Gabriel, are you gonna do that again? No, mom, because if Robert's mom wasn't there, I would have been in trouble. I'm like, I'm so glad you learned your lesson. I allowed you to make a choice, and I told you that I could not pick you up, and I was not gonna leave the meeting in the middle. And you still asked me to pick you up when I told you I wouldn't. So I mean what I say what I mean. So next time, think twice before you do it. They have to live with the consequences. He was lucky that he found an alternative, but if he hadn't, he would have sat there for however long the meeting took, because I was not going to go pick him up.
Yeah, so these are the challenges, and as I like to say, I said in the other meeting, and we'll repeat it here. For sure, the main or not the main, but one of the most tough issues that we have is to understand when these changes are happening. To read our kids, not just wait to the 7-year-old birthday and now I have to change the way. No, but we have to feel it, and we'll have throughout this study lots of reflections how to do it, examples. Ali proposed a lot of examples from his experience as a psychiatrist for families, kids, parents. So for sure it's not the name of the person, or sure. But it's important for us to understand. Am I acting like this person? Am I acting like that? Did my parents act like this? Why I still have this child behavior? For example, the other day I caught myself doing it. I came from a long time, I was traveling, I was for a week away. Then I came home, they ran and gave me a hug. Teacher came and gave me a kiss, and Sophie was playing. Guess where? Tub. And I said, okay, you're not coming. You know, I want to give me a kiss. I said, yeah, we'll do it. Nothing. And then I made myself the poor little guy. And Daddy was away, freezing. My eyes, and you don't give. You don't need to behave like this, right?
Sometimes I catch myself.
So this is something that we do because even in education, my mom used to do it all the time. Oh, you guys gonna see when I die.
Oh gosh. My mom
Canadian,
still uses that.
Canadian moms do it, but Brazilian moms are
They're
great at
experts.
it. They put themselves like the little. They try to force you to be compassionate for them.
Yeah, but this is something we talk sometimes since he's Canadian and I'm Brazilian. We have like different
Cultural differences,
and how you say like here like it's very important to teach the kids to be independent. It's something very in the thing live there in Brazil, like the Latin culture, we like it's many people, not we. We like sometimes to feel the person depends of you that it means love.
Yeah.
And here, I think the equilibrium is good because I think sometimes here I feel can be like too old, but maybe there is too protective. So you need to find the balance.
There's the big boomer generation that the people were just, and you know better than I. These people were concerned with just making money. So money, show me the money. And people weren't concerned about growing up their kids. Because their math was, if I have enough money, I can pay for their education.
And I'll give my kids everything I didn't have.
And the kids kind of, I think they felt like in my generation, the kids raised themselves.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you had 4 or 5.
They will figure it out.
brothers and
Yeah,
sisters, well,
they will
the
figure it out.
strongest survive. And
Yeah.
And
I love the film.
But at the same time, the model in Brazil is not the healthiest at all as well, because as what we call in Brazil, putting kids debaixo da asa,
Under your wings.
they both have
Yeah, the
problems,
hand,
right?
it's the hand putting the chicks
Yeah.
under her wings.
You don't see the psychopaths as much, like you were saying before in Brazil, but you see 30, 40-year-old kids.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
with the parents.
Still
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah.
being exactly
Yeah.
that, being
So
treated
parents is
as
important.
kids.
It's
And then, and being treated like, I've seen like 30 years old, 40 years old that never worked, that did that.
don't do the laundry.
They,
don't-
Yeah.
they are
Help with the
doctors
bills.
Yeah.
but never had to work. They never had to understand the importance of their role to the society. And then again, so yes, the balance is correct. It's not treating as children for the rest of their lives.
Or
Not
letting them raise themselves.
And it is not treating them as adults while they are
Babies.
teenagers, they are
Yeah.
children.
Yeah, just as an example, I have a niece and she was born 2002, the year I got here. So she is 3 years older than Gabriel. And once we went to Brazil, Gabriel was 4, and she had already turned 8 at the time. And Gabriel had been eating by himself since he was like 1, like finger feeding himself or whatever. And when we got to Brazil, the maid was feeding my 8-year-old niece in the mouth. And Gabriel was at 4, was eating by himself. And we were looking at that and we were like, why are you feeding her? And because if we don't feed her, she doesn't eat properly. Yeah, it takes forever. She doesn't feed properly. So it's just easier. Yeah, it's just easier. Open your mouth. Go, go, go. So, it's just the directive. You are going to eat and that's it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it takes forever. Great. Start earlier.
And learn now, yeah.
Yeah, start earlier. Start lunch.
Look at you like you are a bad person if you try to different back in Brazil, If I try, let him learn.
You were a horrible You don't care. Yeah,
He has
you
to
don't
eat his
care.
vegetable. If you didn't give him, he would
And this is a huge challenge because we live in a society that's always mismatch of understanding how to grow up kids and then their
There's
parents.
information everywhere, like
Yeah.
groups.
And too much comparison.
Yeah.
Like
social
trying to measure your child by someone else's standard.
Yeah.
Each child is different.
And this is complicated because people don't understand that most of the time. There's a huge unconsciousness in our society. And for example, because the friends of Sophie went to watch Star Wars, and now I feel that I had to bring her as well. This is so, pardon the language, but so stupid that people follow this, and this in Brazil is huge.
Yeah.
I see my brother had lots of issues with his kids growing up because it's like this. Watch that time was what Lord of the Rings, and the boy was 6 years old watching people killing each other. The
Yeah.
screen, it's normal.
No, if you don't think it's right for a kid, it doesn't matter what the
Exactly.
others are doing.
Exactly. And then you might say, oh, but Eric, when I grew up watching these cartoons,
Does that mean it was right?
And guess what? Why do you think they don't pass these cartoons anymore? Because it's not good?
Well, they have worse ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
No, one thing just that pop up like an example that like, yeah, he's 7 months, but we already have some things, we learn already about some things. And he was in our room until he was 6 months. And we got back from Brazil, we found out that he had to wear the helmet. So I was all protective. No, we are not going to take him out of our room. We put the helmet at the same time, he's going to be scared. And all the time, just breastfeeding, so all the time he cries, I put him here. And the thing, like, we are not sleeping well because we move in our bed. And he was like, no. That's it. That's it. Like 7 months. We do, and let's do that. They cry out. And he was like, I can't do it. Yeah, and he did. He slept in the first night. But it was like he like push on me like, no, that's the best thing to do, and it really was.
Let's try at least.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It can't be worse. That's what I told her.
The first night he was like he cried for 5 minutes, so he was good for us. He cried just for 5 minutes. He slept. So he didn't. He was ready to move from the room. I was not ready to move him. So this is something that you see here, like. We are ready, like he's like a very good baby. So like, oh, he was ready, but I didn't recognize he was ready. In the team, recognized he was ready. Like, no,
well,
let's do it.
It's like that can't be worse. So let's try it. Because he cried a lot. I didn't think it would work.
And this is exactly what we will start talking about the next meeting, and connect to the collaborative. Because you did together. It wasn't just your decision or just his decision, but you together decide this is better and then it worked. And this is the important thing, exactly what we're gonna talk in this healthy relationship, because there are some times that this is so messed up that there is just one parent doing, the other one's isolated. There is the kid on top of the parents dictating what to do. Dictator. They become dictators at home. And when the kids are on the same level, they're horizontal, so the parents are like the kids and the kids.
Best friends.
Exactly. They feel like it's all good. And this is so bad that in Brazil, we know more about this, that in the teenagerhood, there are moms, for example, or dads that take the kids to go out with them in the night, treating them like friends.
Yeah, like buddies, drink buddies.
And this is the type of society we live in. The past was very forced. You have to do this way, my way or the highway, all this stuff. Now we have a society that you move from one side, and then. And where is the balance? Where and when can we find the balance on this? Because when you see time passed, and
It's harder.
18 years old.
Yeah, and Gabriel is almost 14.
Yeah.
But one, and I know this sounds like merchandising, but reading this book actually gave me the peace of mind and the confidence that I had, for example, to do what I did with Gabriel with the skating. Because before, and I'm not saying I got it down to a science, but at least now I am able to recognize
the situation.
Yes, and like ask myself, is this the situation for more direction or for more orientation? So, like asking myself, where is the balance? We'll go to with orientation until this point. If you don't get it, then we're gonna go to direction. But it's like, it gave me the peace of mind that I wouldn't have before. Before I would either have dropped the meeting to run and pick him up because I didn't want to be a bad mother.
And he told you
Or you just would refuse at the beginning.
Or I would say, no, you cannot go because it's not convenient for me. So like that knowledge, that knowledge and some of the examples, because he does case studies in the book that are bang on, you're like, my gosh, this is exactly what I needed to know. This is exactly the doubt I had and I wasn't sure which way to go. So it made a huge difference for me, mainly with this transition to teenage years. It made a huge difference for me. And also, like Eric said, to understand each child is different. So like Gabriel is now, he's gonna be 14, but he's now getting to more of an adolescent thing. Whereas I see that Anna Clara is gonna get there way before he did. However, every child is different. So the issues are different. So her problem is not maturity, is self-insecurity. So again, the balance. Like you take from one side, you put in the other, and they are all different. So you have to, give them what they need as best as you can.
I read this book, but it's I think it's important more than once because I read it before he was born.
So the phase that talks about the connection, the silver cord, and that's what really touches you now. But then as he grows and you go back to the book, you're like, oh yeah, that's true. And it helps you recognize the signs of the changes of phases. So it is a book to be read more than once.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, we'll have a full year of reflections on this, and you're more than welcome to join every first Monday of the month. Hopefully, we will start figuring out the best way to deal with our new lunch and learn format.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it won't be something for so long, but yeah. But for sure, for the family, it's one of the most important subjects to realize, because like my sister, she says she's already 42, and I don't know if I want to have kids. I see a lot of people having kids, they're in trouble, they don't know how to educate their kids, so I try to have kids. It's not the way as well. So it's not denying that you have this work to do, that you're gonna say, you disincarnate and go to St. Peter's at the doors of heaven and say, well, I didn't have kids because they're too trouble, I don't know, people mess with education around, so I want to do it. The invitation's not that. The invitation is do the best way you can. All right, so let's finish this meeting. Does anybody would like to do a prayer ou pode ser em português também? Thanks, dear Lord, for this wonderful privilege that we have today. Reflecting about this so important task, work, mission, which is educated, okay, yet our kids ready for the night. May our children be tools in our lives to develop on our own virtues, such as the sign of the peace that we talk about this week, such as love, such as renunciation, humbleness, always light our Sundays when we gather here to talk about parents and children and their relationship. May this meeting invite our souls to be better parents, to help our children to achieve their goals in this incarnation. And the most important thing, we all together rise up for a better world. We all together rise up for the regeneration. May our needs be blessed and always followed by the pure needs, by the superior needs, and all the mantras this house offers. This
Muito obrigada, Eric.
Obrigada.
Extremamente estamos refletindo sobre esse assunto. Para mim, como vocês sabem, é fundamental. Vocês acabaram de ver os trials and expiations que eu passo in real life.
E também eu vejo diferença para mim como filha também. Também me ajudou a compreender melhor os meus pais, a diferença do acesso à informação e ao conhecimento que eu tenho versus o que eles tiveram e o trabalho que eles fizeram sem o conhecimento que eu tenho. Então, me ajuda muito a valorizar mais os esforços dos meus pais e a procurar ser uma filha melhor. E mesmo quem não tem filho, tem pai e mãe.
É verdade.
A gente se veio de algum
Pode
lugar.
não ser pai ou mãe, mas
Ter pai e mãe.
Mas isso
É um estudo que nos auxilia a nos prepararmos para a vida. Independente se a gente já tem filhos, se não entrar num... Foi muito legal no encontro passado, a Sônia teve presente, ela tem 2 filhos adultos já. E ela estava compartilhando que se ela tivesse tido a oportunidade de ter contato com isso teria ajudado ela, mas ao mesmo tempo a reflexão que a gente chegou aqui, não precisa se culpar, mas pelo contrário, ela pode encontrar agora a oportunidade de continuar auxiliando os filhos, seja de uma forma sugestiva, mas ainda assim orientando, porque acima de toda a orientação que a gente vai dar vai ser o nosso exemplo que vai ficar. Então,
Eu tinha a crença, né, do que você falou da questão do se não fez até os 7 anos, já era. A gente ouve tanta gente falando isso. E né, depois de estudar esse material, eu discordo. Eu gostaria de ter sabido isso quando eles ainda estavam na primeira infância. Claro que gostaria. Mas isso não quer dizer que eu não tenho o que fazer agora. Muito pelo contrário. Né? O comportamento que eu tinha antes muito...
Mas só que não com o discernimento que isso é o formato mais adequado.
Eu era excessivamente diretiva, por exemplo. Né? Eu não consegui enxergar a transição, por exemplo, do mais velho, que sempre acaba sofrendo um pouco mais. Né? Eu não consegui enxergar bem a transição do Gabriel, né? De pré-adolescência, ou até da primeira infância para a pré-adolescência e tal. E era diretiva demais. Mas hoje, só de aplicar essa diferença, eu vejo uma diferença no meu relacionamento com ele muito grande. Né? Dele vir conversar comigo, ao invés de mentir, esconder as coisas, por ter medo de levar a bronca e levar um castigo, sem a gente ter tido uma conversa antes. As ações sempre vão ter uma consequência, ele tem essa compreensão. Mas agora, eu tinha muito problema com mentira com o Gabriel, mas era exatamente por isso. Porque o que ele ouvia? A bronca, o castigo e acabou. Então, ele mentia para não levar o castigo. Então, agora que eu tenho essa compreensão melhor de não ser tão, de ser mais orientativa do que diretiva e deixar ele fazer opções que não colocam a vida dele em risco, ele também desenvolveu uma confiança maior em mim, de poder vir conversar comigo e me pedir opções, e negociar comigo ao invés de mentir, porque sabe que eu vou bater o martelo. Então, o meu relacionamento com ele mudou completamente. Então, a ideia de que não dá para fazer nada depois, completamente falsa. Tem muito o que fazer. Até para a Sônia, que tem filhos adultos.
Não, e se você pensar até no caso de filhos adotivos, né? Que às vezes uma criança é adotada com 3, 4 anos, e a gente sabe que o que ela passou numa situação antes, né? Que não teve aquela atenção individual, tudo. É um período que depois vai ter que ser recuperado, mas assim, eu conheço pessoas adotivas que agora são adultos e têm todos esses valores, então assim, é possível você começar...
Sim, existe muito o que fazer.
E esse é um ponto importante que conecta com aquilo que a gente falou do peace of mind. Tem que ficar claro. Não é porque eu fiz os esforços também que eu agora lavo minhas mãos, agora tá na vida, tá
Meu trabalho está feito.
O que a gente quer dizer do peace of mind é a pessoa não ficar se torturando. Nós temos conhecimento de algumas pessoas, por exemplo, que têm filhos que se encaminharam bem, outros que foram pelo caminho das drogas, por exemplo. E os pais ficam se torturando no processo de que, como é que ele foi parar, é minha culpa.
Onde eu errei?
Muito provavelmente, quando entra nesse tipo de idiosincrasia, muito provavelmente porque ele sabe, aquele lá no íntimo, que ele não vai revelar para todo mundo, ele vai saber lá onde é que ele tropeçou, que ele não fez. É esse o convite, que nós abramos nossas consciências e não sigamos esse caminho, para depois não alegar ignorância.
É um material riquíssimo.
É legal falar.
Reflexão, porque todos nós temos que contribuir. Os filhos não com pais.
Sorry. Desculpa dizer a verdade, mas ela dói menos quando ela chega assim.
Gente, mais alguém quer pudim?
Não, já mais.
Vou lavar a mulher.
É isso aí, gente. E aí, já decidiu que o Canadá é o polo norte do mundo? Eu ainda tenho minha teoria.
Não, eu falo pro Tim que tem prisão domiciliar. É legal, tem prisão domiciliar, né?
Por isso que o crime rate aqui é baixo, porque a pessoa não quer nem sair de casa para cometer crime. Viu demais.
Por isso que é seguro, é isso que eu penso. É lógico que aqui é mais seguro. Nem lá
Dezembro e janeiro foi legal.
Mas dezembro, tivemos Brown Christmas, né? Sem neve no Natal. Nossa, vai ser um
segundo, né? Você chegaram no inverno do ano passado.
Sim, e todo mundo me falou, não, esse é o pior, nunca aconteceu igual. Aí
mas
chega
esse
isso.
inverno tava uma maravilha até o dia...
A gente perdeu a parte boa do inverno.
Vocês perderam a parte boa.
A gente voltou no Brasil.
No Brasil.
É vocês! São vocês!
É frio.
Eu tava falando que era o Guilherme, que o Guilherme até quando ele tava aqui tava bom, aí depois ele foi embora, esfriou.
Não foi dele, então, já chama o culpado.
Amor, ele só tinha feito um pulo naquela hora, acho que eu vou ver depois. Eu vou ter que trocar ele.
Ele tava só avisando. Ele tava
então,
só avisando que vinha por aí.
Quando eu fui lá, era só um pulo.
Não tinha
Aí
nada.
depois, quando eu cheguei, aquele... Agora acho que...
Te peguei.
A Renata escutou.
Acho que é só...
Não, deixa eu trocar ele.
Você fez...
E o sofazinho tá mais melhor?
É a sofazinha lá. Ela deixa expulsar as crianças se tiverem. Ajuda eles.
Falei, mamãe,
Tá vindo me dar um beijo.
cadê o beijo de nada?
Nossa, essa cara sua,
Você-
tá
deixa eu
doendo
ver.
dar um beijo.
Tá, obrigada.
Vai.
Tá ele
Ih,
e
agora que eu
Sophie,
vi que tinha sujeira no pau.
um de mal com o outro, porque um brigou com o outro, não sei o quê, mas eles já pediram desculpas.
Por que vocês brigaram, Lucas? O que aconteceu?
Chapas e beijos.
O que a Sophie fez pra você? Fala pra mim.
Mas pelo que eu entendi, ele fez uma coisa primeiro. Ele deve ter empurrado ela de algum jeito primeiro, ela falou que puxou o cabelo dele, que eu não consegui entender.
Essa sogra que eu vou contar, viu?
Mas deve ter que entender que as crianças se machucam sem querer, os dois, né?
Porque play,
Não é de propósito.
says play too rough. Not too...
Nem acho.
Não vale a pena ficar chateado. Ficar chateado, você perde a diversão que você podia estar tendo naquela hora.
Ainda não consegui explicar isso pro Gabriel.
Deixa eu te falar que o meu maior problema tem que ser mais diretiva. Eu sou muito orientadora como mãe. Só brigo mesmo, só proíbo mesmo, é aquela questão de vida ou morte, mas eu acho que eu tenho que ser mais assertiva com ele. Porque ele ainda não tem muito discernimento, eu deixo de fazer essas coisas erradas para aprender, mas eu acho que eu tenho que...
Tem algumas
Comigo,
coisas que a gente tem, né?
Os amigos espirituais aqui no meu ouvido estavam falando é justamente o contrário, eu tenho que ser mais firme com ele um pouco, ele precisa mais disso agora.
Mas é aquela história, que eles pais que não entendem que tem um limite de deixar fazer isso, né? É quando se torna pernicioso e a criança pode agravar muito a... Poxa, tem gente que deixa as crianças literalmente botar a vida em risco. Aí tem outros que são super protetores, não pode subir em nada, porque
Só
vai cair, vai quebrar o pescoço, coisa
Só
não
falta
consegue.
embrulhar em bubble wrap.
A criança não pode nem descer num slide, num escorregador, porque senão vai cair, vai quebrar o pescoço.
Eu tenho o vídeo do Lucas com 6 meses de idade, pendurado nas costas. O sofá estava encostado na parede. Ele estava pendurado nas costas do sofá, brincando de boneco, com 6 meses. Então, assim, ele não andava ainda, mas ele escalou o sofá e brincava com os bonecos lá em cima. Eu fiz o vídeo, porque eu achei o máximo. Minha mãe quase morreu.